Welcome to SufiMagic. In the name of Allah, most gracious and most merciful. In Surah Ankabut, along with the story of Abraham, Allah has informed us of another. Thus I too want to write of another incident in this chapter. Hazrat Ibrahim had two more brothers, Noah and Haran. And Haran had a son named Lot, the nephew of Abraham. Lot, who lived in the city of through his childhood, because this entire family lived there. But after a severe famine and drought, he left for Egypt with his uncle Abraham and his wife Sarah. And it was then in Egypt where Abraham had to tell his third and the last lie to King Abimelech. But after this incident, this family had to leave Egypt as well, and the incidents that followed are mentioned in Surah Anbiya. Then we delivered him, along with Lot, to the land we had showered with blessings for all people. According to this verse, after Egypt, Abraham left with his wife Sarah to Hebron, located in modern-day Palestine, and Lot left for Sodom and Gomorrah, and later became a highly ranked prophet. As mentioned in Surah Safat, that indeed Lot was among the prophets. And this part of the chapter is about those notorious cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and the story of Prophet Lot. And the story begins with two guests of Abraham, two guests who cast fear into the heart of Abraham. Surah Hud, when a messenger angels came to Abraham with the glad tidings and greeted him with peace. Then it was not long before that he brought them a fat, roasted calf. And when he saw that their hands did not reach for the food, he became suspicious and fearful of them. But they reassured him that do not be afraid. We are sent only against the people of Lot. These two guests of Abraham were angels, who informed him about the forthcoming wrath of God towards the people of Lot. But what did the people of Prophet Lot did? I suppose nearly all of you must be aware of their crime. Their crime was so heinous and abominable that it is hard to find the suitable words for. But in simple terms, the nature of their crime was homosexuality. Their crime is mentioned in Surah Araf, Surah Ankabut, and in Surah Naml too, where Prophet Lot is trying to preach these people that do you commit a shameful deed that no man has ever done before? You lust after men instead of women? You practice immorality openly in your gatherings. You certainly are transgressors. And when they could not think of an answer, then according to Surah Araf, they said the same thing. What can be said by those who are stubborn on their transgression? Drive them out. They are being too pious for us. But after all their sins, they made an unforgivable mistake. According to Surah Ankabut, indulged in their mischiefs, they challenged Prophet Lot. Then bring the wrath of God. And the very next verse of Surah Ankabut tells how Prophet Lot answered them. Oh, Allah, help me against these people of corruption. Hence these two messenger angels were sent to the people of Lot, who instilled fear in the heart of Abraham. In the previous chapter, I had told you about the two titles given to Abraham by Allah, the title of a soft-hearted man, and the title of a friend of Allah. Combine these two titles and you'll be able to better the 74th verse of Surah Hud. After the fear had left Abraham and the good news had reached him, he began to plead with us for the people of Lot. Abraham tried his best to convince the angels. He tried them to listen to him and return without the punishment. Here, you would truly see a glimpse of the friend of God who is trying his best to convince and return the angels. Sa'id bin Jubair, Imam Sadi, and Ibn Ishaq report that Abraham was asking the angels, "Are you going to destroy the city where 300 believers live?" The angels replied that there are not even 300 believers, Abraham questioned again that, "Are you going to destroy a city where 200 believers live?" The angels replied that there are not even 200. Abraham argued again that there must at least be 40 believers. The angels replied that there are not even 40. Abraham tried again that there must be at least 14. But the angels replied that there are not even 14. But one feels affection and love for this friend of Allah and for his efforts, that according to Surah An-Kabah, he finally said, "At least there is Lot." And upon this, the angels replied, "We know who lives there, so we shall deliver him and his family except his wife, because she will be the one to be left behind." Finally, according to Surah Hud, the angels said, "O Abraham, plead no more. Your Lord's decree has already come, and they will certainly be afflicted with a punishment that cannot be averted." And the events that followed, you would all be aware of them, that how the angels left Abraham's house and arrived at Lot's house in the form of two extremely attractive men, and this news reached the residents of Sodom and Gomorrah, bringing them together at Lot's house. I'm not going into heavy details of what happened next, because that is not the topic of this chapter. However, the entire incident is there in Surah Hud, Surah Hijr, Surah Anbiya, Surah Naml, and Surah An-Kabah. But I will surely tell you that when those angels reached Lot's home in the form of attractive men, Qatada describes the situation that Prophet Lot was busy in his fields outside his home, and when he was informed of the guests, he left for his home. But the city residents came to walk with him with their evilest of the intentions, and began to inform Prophet Lot of their intentions with their evil gestures. Just imagine how painful of a situation must it have been for Prophet Lot. Surah Hud describes even his feelings of that time, that when our angels reached the house of Lot, he became distressed and worried by their arrival, and said, "This is a terrible day." At this point, Prophet Lot had a dialogue with his people, which is present in Surah Hud, and I will recite that passage to you. "And when the men of his people, used to of shameful deeds, came to him rushing, he pleaded that, 'O my people, do not humiliate me by disrespecting my guests. Here are my daughters, they are pure for you. So fear Allah. Is there not a single right-minded man among you?' And how did they respond? Surah Hijr, "O Lot, did we not forbid you from protecting anyone?" Surah Hud, "You certainly know that we do not have any need for your daughters, and you already know what we desire." And Lot says, "If only I had the strength to resist you, or could rely upon a strong supporter." It is the only occasion in the Quran where, while Allah is telling this incident, has sworn by the age of Prophet Muhammad, "By your life, O Prophet." They certainly wandered blindly, intoxicated by their lust. Just imagine Lot's feelings while he was surrounded by those animals at that time. Such intense situation where even Lot swore by Allah. I have not seen anyone worse than these people. Qatada reports that Lot said this multiple times, and it was actually the instruction for the angels that do not let the punishment take place until their messenger himself declares them mischievous, and until he testifies against them. It was then when the angels revealed their true identities to the Prophet and asked them to leave the city in the dead of the night. According to Surah Hud, they said, "O Lot, we are sent by your Lord. It is impossible that these people will harm you. So take your family with you and leave the city when little of the night is left. But none of you should turn around and look." In fact, the restriction to turn around and look is given another time in Surah Hijr. "Leave along with your family in the night. Stay behind them. and be warned. None of you should turn around and look. And then the events of coming few hours are described in exegesis. That prophet Lot escorted his guests inside his home and shut the door, and stood outside it, resisting the crowd from entering inside, trying to stop them, trying to calm them, trying to convince them, trying to confront them with helplessness. Writing these events in this chapter and imagining that night in the city of Sodom disturbed my heart, my thoughts. We can perhaps never fully imagine that during those few hours of that night in Sodom, what Prophet Lot must have gone through, how he had to confront those terrible beasts. Perhaps this is why, in the 86th verse of Surah An-Niyam, along with 3 other prophets, Allah praised Prophet Lot, that we favored each of them over other people of their time. These horrible events kept on until late night, until only small part of the night was left. According to the exegesis of Ibn Jarir, it was that time when the angel Yibail hit their eyes with his wings, which caused them complete blindness. There is also a reference to it in Surah Qamar that they tried to take Lot's guests from him. Thus we too blinded their eyes. Finally, the prophet abandons them. And when little of the night was left and the dawn drew near, then Prophet Lot, along with both of his daughters, left the house, and both of his daughters were his entire family. According to Imam Sadi, the names of his daughters were Rita and Zagrita. Although the wife of Prophet Lot, called Walhia, had come along with them or not, is best known by Allah. However, the strange part about it will be discussed later. And finally, as the sun came close to rise, Sodom and Gomorrah were struck by a horrible devastation that was foretold by angels to Prophet Abraham as something that cannot be evaded anymore. If I collect and present you all the verses from Quran about that morning on Sodom, its description would be something like this. According to Surah Hijr, they heard a loud sound as the sun was rising. Surah Qamar, a fierce wind started to blow, causing stones to rain from the sky. Surah Naml and Surah Hud, the city was being showered by certain kind of stones. These stones were made by Allah, and they were being showered badly onto the people layer over layer, until the city was turned completely upside down. As per the markings of the stones, Mujahid reports that each stone was marked with the name of the person it was meant to hit, and put its brain out on the ground until nothing was left. Thus in Surah Tawbah, Allah called them the overturned cities of Lot. In Surah Hijr, Allah also told their location, that the city was located on a well-known route, and also in Surah Safat, that you pass through that city in the morning and in the night. Do you still not take heed? If I be honest, before writing this chapter any further, I had to pause for a while. While writing this documentary, I have always felt that it is never easy to write about the wrath of God. A certain kind of anxiety takes over, and no onwards. I'm going to tell you things which might cause you to be anxious as well. But a question first, that where exactly were the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah? Sodom and Gomorrah were 2 of the 7 settlements of a large city, a place where a number of people lived. So it was a considerably large city of 7 settlements, out of which 2 were called Sodom and Gomorrah. This is why the term used in Surah Tawbah is in the form of plural, the overturned cities. In the chapter of Abraham, I had told you about Akkadian and Assyrian civilizations. An expert British archaeologist on the Assyrian civilization, Dr. Archibald Sayce, once translated an Akkadian poem in which they speak of a city which rained fire on, But unfortunately, the poem does not tell the name of the city. Then, from Syria in 1976, some clay tablets were discovered called the Ebla tablets, and you will often hear their name in my research work. 1,800 complete tablets and more than 5,000 fragments, telling a 4,500 years old story. One of these tablets contained names of 5 such places that were situated near the banks of the Dead Sea, and 2 of them were called Sodom and Gomorrah, which have an uncanny resemblance to the names of Sodom and Gomorrah. Besides archaeology, another lead comes from a historian called Strabo from 2,500 years ago. World still knows this man as the father of history, Herodotus and Strabo. These are the huge names of history. During one of Strabo's travels, while passing through Palestine, Strabo speaks of a city near the Dead Sea. He says that the residents of Macedon have informed me that once there were 13 cities settled here, and 2 of which were settled near the limestone and salt mountains. One of the cities was called Kerbert as Sardum, and the lead from Strabo takes to the very same part as well. That was mentioned in Ebla tablets, and both the verse from Quran confirm this location, because on the route from Tabuk to Jerusalem, this place comes in the path each time. Overturned cities located on a well-known route. I presented you the first part of this chapter from the perspective of Prophet Lot, and I hope that I was able to tell you what hardship that noble prophet might have gone through that night. May Allah grant him higher ranks in Jannah. I cannot tell how much love and sympathy did I feel for Prophet Lot while writing this chapter. How much could I feel his pain? And the verse from Surah Hud made me realize his feelings when he was informed of the angel guests coming in the form of beautiful young men. He became deeply sad and felt upset, thinking, "It is indeed a very bad day. May peace be upon him." But the second part of this chapter, I want to present you from the perspective of the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. What did they observe during those few hours? How must have they heard that scream during the sunrise? How would they have felt the strong wind and then witnessed showering stones? Those of you who have visited Jordan or Palestine, they must have heard the explanation that this event would have taken place due to an earthquake in the Dead Sea. Earthquake does explain the overturning of Sodom and Gomorrah, and this place is also known as Jordan Rift Valley, with a massive fault line underneath it, meaning a place where the plate tectonics of multiple continents meet each other, and such places are accustomed of earthquakes. For example, as a daily average in the world, there are approximately 55 earthquakes, but out of these 55 earthquakes, 3 to 4 occur in Japan alone, because the entire island of Japan is situated over a massive fault line called Japan Median Tectonic Line. Although for your interest, let me tell you about the largest fault line in the world, which is in America, the San Andreas Fault Line under the California. And the day this fault line displaces, the whole of the California will be buried inside the earth. If we accept the Dead Sea's earthquake theory, it does explain the overturning of the cities, the tar from the depths of Dead Sea going towards the sky after an explosion, and then coming back to the earth in form of fire and stones, is too explained. All those who visit Jordan and Palestine do hear all these explanations about the people of Lot. But today, I will tell you about a very rare and a terrifying natural phenomenon, known by very few of the people, and to show you that, once again, I will take you back in time, in the year 1490 AD China. In the ancient records of China, there is a manuscript which is called Songwo Gudai Tiangxian Jilu Zogji, and after translating into English, the collection of everything happening in the sky. This ancient text contains data from 12th to 16th century, describing all the observations they did in the skies. Indeed, it is a wonderful task done by ancient Chinese that can teach us many things today. Record 10 of this collection, two very important incidents. The first of the incidents is called Wang Gong Chang Explosion, but its original name in Chinese records is Tiongbian Di Cao, which literally means the wrath of God, because this incident took lives of 20,000 people, and I am going to tell you this incident as it is written in the record word by word. May 30th, 1626 AD. It was the time between 9 to 11 a.m. The sky was clear, but suddenly a roar began from the north coming towards us, which soon turned into a loud scream. Then the dust clouds began to emerge, and strong wind started to blow. Our houses began to shake. Suddenly, there was a bright flash of light, and the sky split in two. The earth was uprooted. Darkness took over as far as one can see. The whole city is uprooted from its place. The streets are unrecognizable. The roofs of our houses are showering onto us like rain. The explosion was so severe that even the largest trees have uprooted, falling back to earth as far as Mune City. The 3-ton stone lion of our city was thrown out of the city wall. The epicenter of the explosion has a 22 feet deep pit, and the clouds appearing in this place are very strange, like fine silk threads distorted. Some of the clouds had different colors inside them, and some of the clouds were like a black mushroom, which kept rising in the sky for many hours. Many of the people of our city have died, many are injured, and many have gone missing. We cannot find them anymore, and some of us have buried alive in their home. 7-month-old baby of our king, Prince Zhu, was killed only by the sound of this explosion. And the second incident in this manuscript is written in the official history of Ming Dynasty. This incident took place in the Shanxi province in 1490 AD, and I will tell you as it is written in text, word by word. March/April 1490 AD, in the 3rd month of Moon, meaning March/April, countless stones rained from the sky, which were as large as a goose egg. These stones were raining from the sky. Larger stones were nearly 5 catties, meaning 1.5 kilograms, and the smaller stones were 2 to 3 catties, meaning almost 1 kilogram. So far, 10,000 people have been killed. The city has turned upside down. I am sure you must all be thinking that what horrifying tragedy it was, which destroyed these cities within moments. First, a roar, then a loud sound, followed by a severe wind, then an explosion, and next you find hundreds of the people buried alive in the overturned city. An explosion strong enough for infants, killing them with fear and a heart attack. There are at least 3 other Chinese records which speak of stones raining from the sky. About this calamity, a research paper was written in 1995, Death from the Above. And now I will tell you about this merciless, blind, and a cataclysm that brings nothing but death from the above.